Hello, my friend. I am so excited to dive into this week's podcast episode for you on this week's astrology. Oh my goodness. Please let me know how that solar eclipse in Aries was for you, because for me, it was quite intense. In this week's episode, I'll be going through the major transits of this week, especially in terms of Neptune moving into Aries. I will also be speaking on how I timeline jumped and the key missing piece most people don't talk about when timeline jumping. I will then end off this podcast episode with a tarot reading of what energy to embrace, what energy to let go of. So let's just get right into it. Now, I do want to say, if you're watching this on March 31st, on the Monday, I am hosting an Eclipse Revelations event with the Moon Sign Creative Community for this solar eclipse in Aries. This is a pivotal closing of a chapter and new beginning for you because it wraps up a 2-year cycle. We will be time traveling to 2013 to 2016 using these specific dates for the Aries Libra eclipses that happened at that time. So if you want to learn more astrology and really learn how those time periods affect you now, come join me for this event. Replays are available. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so good, and you're going to love it, especially if you are a creative or spiritual entrepreneur. All right, so let's just dive into what's happening this week, because honestly, March's astrology was a lot. And let's go back to March 30th, which happened this weekend, and talk a little bit about Neptune moving into Aries, because this is the first of our lifetime that Neptune will be in Aries, right? This is so interesting. No one currently alive has experienced this. And this is because it takes Neptune about 14 years to change signs. So about 165 years for it to make a full cycle. Mind-blowing. It's very slow moving. Now this, of course, is going to affect everyone. However, it's going to really impact Pisces placements and Aries placements the most, because Neptune has been in Pisces for quite some time. And now that it's moving into Aries, it will impact Aries placements a lot more. Now, Neptune is the planet of dreams, aspirations. It also rules over the entertainment industry. It also represents our spirituality, and it can also imply confusion, anxiety. There's this fog with Neptune energy that we have to be aware of. Things can feel very unclear when Neptune is transiting a certain part of your chart. Now, Neptune in Aries is interesting. So Neptune in Aries represents healing through taking action, through identity work, through the masculine energy. And we all have masculine energy. I do want to point that out. Yet Neptune here is helping us understand, how can we heal who we are? How can we do deeper inner child work? And what does this look like? How will this transform how we understand each other, but also ourselves? Now, I want to point out some very important dates in terms of the history of Neptune in Aries, because we could see similar themes come up this time around. So the last time Neptune was in Aries was April 14th, 1861 to February 20th, 1875. Some major events that happened during this time were the women's rights movement, Romanticism's decline and realism's rise in terms of the arts, spiritual movements, the American Civil War, which honestly I do think we need to pay attention to, because that can really be seen again with what's happening in the States. And also the end of slavery in the US with the 13th Amendment. So these are some really important things to pay attention to, because history repeats itself, And we just want to take note of what happened last time because we can see a lot of similar things come up again. Now, it's important to note that we're only going to see a sneak preview of Neptune in Aries this year. So Neptune will be in Aries from March 30th to October 22nd, 2025. It will then re-enter Pisces and retrograde back into Pisces later this year after October 22nd, and then it will re-enter Aries next year. Now, I also want to point out that with Neptune in Aries, I do see a huge rise that will occur when it comes to spiritual leaders and also very creative leaders as well. I also think we could see more confusion around anger and aggression and leadership roles. So there can be some really confusing situations that occur with these themes and also people in power. We have to keep this in mind. There's still some very, very lovely things with Neptune and Aries. And I do think it's going to help us understand how can we take more action and take more personal responsibility to heal the collective consciousness, to heal what is currently happening in the world by taking ownership and accountability for what we can control. It starts with understanding how can we lead by example and what can we do for our community with Pluto in Aquarius. Now, also happening on March 30th, Mercury leaves the sign of Aries and retrogrades back into the sign of Pisces. So if you haven't watched your Mercury retrograde horoscope, go listen to that. It's super juicy, super in-depth. That's going to help so much. And it's going to really help you reflect on your partnerships, your spirituality, your dreams, how you are resting and retreating, and what is your relationship to your ancestors? What cycles are you breaking? And how are you taking care of yourself emotionally? Now, on April 3rd, we have Venus retrograde conjunct the North Node in Pisces. So this is a very spiritual day. This can feel very fated. I really see this as you really valuing where you're heading this lifetime. You could get a sign this day where you could see how your values are really leading you. And this can feel very natural. This could feel very in flow to you. You could just feel very fulfilled this day, especially around spiritual partnerships, understanding how to take care of yourself emotionally. Perhaps you have a therapy appointment this day, or perhaps you are getting a reading done or doing something that helps you with your purpose in life. This feels as though there's just this lovely, lovely wink from the universe. And this can feel like you're just taking pleasure and joy from it. Maybe perhaps you are listening to music and really feeling this pull and calling to do something for yourself and just feel this joy in life. Since Venus is retrograde, this is also important to pay attention to. Perhaps you go back to a previous value you had or a previous relationship. May this be a friendship that really took care of you or that really encouraged you and really uplifted you, and you're feeling very seen by this relationship, or you're just feeling as though someone really, really values you this day. So I love this energy. Now on April 4th, we have Mars in Cancer sextile to Uranus in Taurus. So expect the unexpected this day. I really see this as lovely surprises when it comes to your work or dating life. Perhaps if you're seeing someone, they take you on a spontaneous date to a new restaurant, or perhaps you have a client reach out that you've been working with and they refer you a new client, or perhaps you just really get a breakthrough around how you are approaching work and how this is improving your finances, or you get a breakthrough around how to manage this in a different way. Since Mars is in Cancer and Uranus is in Taurus, I also see this as some very cozy cozy vibes. Perhaps you are treating yourself to something for your home. Maybe you are looking for a new home and going to a bunch of open houses. It could look like that, and you're just getting very, very inspired for what's possible for you. Now, Saturn in Pisces is also sextile to Uranus in Taurus this day. So this looks super, super lovely. This is really feeling like you are building something and you're getting more breakthroughs as you're building something stable and grounded for you when it comes to your emotional fulfillment, when it comes to spiritual partnerships, when it comes to really taking care of yourself in a way that's more creative and expressive. I love this energy. This could also be an idea that you receive that helps you build better systems and structures for your future. I also see this as you potentially getting a new system to organize your finances. Maybe you read something in a money book and it helps you transform your relationship to money in some form, and this is helping you take practical action with Saturn in Pisces. This could also look like you getting a breakthrough around your self-worth and self-value and how you can show yourself that you really care about yourself. Maybe you are going about a new workout routine that feels more grounding for you, that feels less intense, and it's actually making you feel better about taking care of your body in a new way. This specifically actually really, really helps in terms of seeing yourself in a new light and how this connects to your spirituality. Perhaps you are taking care of those things that you need to when it comes to your mental health and how that's connected to your daily routine. Now, on April 5th, we have Mars in Cancer trine Saturn in Pisces. So this is really, really lovely. Honestly, we kind of went through a bit of this energy for the solar eclipse in Aries, yet it is exact on April 5th. And this is us really taking action and really building something for our future. This is an energy where you could feel very emotionally good when it comes to understanding which tools you have to take care of yourself, to regulate your emotions, to regulate your nervous system. This is you really understanding, okay, maybe some things take time to build, and that's okay. That's totally okay. Yet, Mars trine Saturn is a really, really helpful energy for us because it helps us understand, okay, so the work I'm doing, how I'm reacting to situations, taking inspired emotional action can help me create something more sustainable for myself. With Saturn in Pisces, I also see this as you potentially teaming up with someone or having someone to help you through this. May this be a coach, may this be a mentor, may this be an astrologer, may this be a therapist. This is you doing the hard work and understanding and seeing some of the results of past previous work. So I love this energy for us. Now, on April 6th, we have the Sun in Aries sextile to Jupiter and Gemini, and this is such a fun energy. Honestly, the end of the week has some very, very lovely energy in comparison to a lot of March's astrology. Now, with the Sun in Aries sextile to Jupiter and Gemini, this looks like feeling very uplifted and celebrated by friends. This could look like you going to a party and just having fun with friends, or starting a lot of communication work. Perhaps you are feeling very confident in yourself and you're publishing a lot of content. This could look like having a lot of conversations with people, especially close friends or siblings, and you are feeling very passionate and motivated and inspired to really be yourself. This is such a spiritual connection as well. So you could just feel like you are so in tune with your own energy and uplifted, and you're believing in yourself more. You're believing in yourself not only from the stories you're telling yourself, but also seeing it reflected from the people closest to you. Maybe you're just getting that encouragement from them, or perhaps you're having those sounding boards and it's really showing you the more optimistic perspective. This could also look like you just getting encouraged to go after your dreams, to dream bigger, and to really understand that you are here to be bold and brave and to embrace who you are as a person, the sun in Aries. Now, Venus in Pisces retrograde is also in a trine to Mars in Cancer, and this is very supportive. I see this as you potentially connecting with old friends or connecting with people who really emotionally support you. Again, a therapist, an astrologer, someone in a group therapy setting. This can look really, really lovely. This could also look like appreciating some old throwback music, perhaps from the 90s, and you are just feeling really, really good about this. It's making you very nostalgic, it's making you more emotional, it's helping you really move your body, maybe you're dancing more. It could look like this. It could also just be feeling very emotionally inspired and uplifted. So this looks very, very lovely. This could also be a great day to go on a date, especially to a place that you went to before if you currently are seeing someone and you're going back to a previous favorite date spot. This could also be just having a cozy night in with a friend or someone you love and just feeling very nurtured and taken care of. So those are our major transits for this week. Oh my goodness. A lot is happening. A lot is happening. Again, we're still in the Venus and Mercury retrograde. So again, go look back to your horoscopes for that time period. They're super juicy, super in-depth. And because both Venus and Mercury are now in Pisces, go back to that section because that's going to give you so much more information. I also want to mention that if you feel like things are still delayed for you, things are still slowed down, this is because of the Venus and Mercury retrograde. So things will pick up a lot more later in April. Good to keep this in mind. Try not to force anything to happen right now. Try not to launch too many new things because that can really tire you out. Listen to your body, rest, recharge. That's going to help you so much. All right, so I also want to get into the story for this week and the concept for this week, which is how I timeline jumped and the one missing key piece no one is talking about when it comes to timeline jumping. I first want to explain what timeline jumping is. This is more so a theory, a spiritual theory of stepping into a higher timeline for yourself. Of if you feel like you're not in the place you want to be, or you feel like, okay, I know I'm meant for more, I know my potential, I know that I'm supposed to be in a different place, in a better place. This is timeline jumping of moving into that higher place for yourself, this more fulfilling place for yourself, and doing it in a time frame that is a lot faster for you. Maybe perhaps you think it would take you 5 to 10 years, and then you actually do it within 3 months, for example. Or perhaps you think it's going to take you 2 years and you do it within a day or two. That is timeline jumping. You are really shifting timelines for yourself, and time is an illusion, right? We made up time. Time is an illusion. So keep this in mind when I talk to you about this timeline jumping and what this could look like for you, and the key missing piece of what to do to timeline jump. Okay, I'm going to go back to the story. I know I talked about it last week, but I want to go really, really in depth with this so that you can understand the main concept for this. So before I became an astrologer, I was a design professor. And before I became a design professor, I was a TA. Yet before I became a TA, I was a designer, a graphic designer. And I want to take you back to 2014. In 2014, I was interning at a lot of different design studios in the city. They were award-winning design studios. They were studios I really looked up to and I really found inspiring at that time when I didn't know much about them. During this time, I kept getting into some toxic workplaces. So I did have some good internships. I do want to point that out. I had one or two really good internships, and I did a lot of internships. Yet, for me, right after I graduated, I was entering my 5th internship, and honestly, I shouldn't have taken it. I was stuck in a very difficult position where I had to quit this internship because of some really toxic situations, especially a manipulative boss who honestly I had to learn a lot from. I had to learn that I had to not be in that situation. There was constantly this energy where everyone was depressed at this design studio. So I won't go too into that story. I did end up leaving that place and then I entered my first full-time design studio position. I was a junior designer at this time and I was working for this husband and wife couple. And I was there, and as soon as I got the position, I wasn't happy. Although it was an award-winning design studio, this husband and wife couple would fight about me in front of me. They would micromanage me. They would look over my screen and tell me, why am I not doing this thing, even though I was doing a different part of that project. They would really stress me out. Honestly, I got PTSD after this situation. It was very intense. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I was anxious all the time. The wife of this situation would just yell at me about certain projects, and I would do my best on these projects. Again, I was right out of university at this time. So I remember very clearly she was yelling at me about sketching my concepts before I designed them and put them on screen. And she didn't like that I was sketching these concepts. And this was what we were taught in design school. We were taught to sketch out our concepts. I know this is very old school for some of you, but at this time, I was thinking of ideas and she hated that I was doing this. And I was kind of just shocked by this. And I was just sitting here at the studio and I wanted nothing more than to leave. I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating well, I was a nervous wreck all the time. I remember I would just enter their design studio and they wouldn't say hi. They wouldn't even say good morning. They would just like say nothing to me and I was their only employee. I want to preface that. I was their only employee and they wouldn't say anything to me. I thought that was so strange. That was so strange. So weird. And I just remember I could not make it through the month. I just was trying to wait for my last paycheck. I was trying to figure out, how do I leave when I just moved out of my mom's place? And now I have all these bills to pay. I have no savings. I'm in debt from university. So I have about, I don't know, 20K to pay off in terms of my debt at this time. And I'm like, I rather work anywhere but here. I'd rather work anywhere but here. And I just told myself, is this worth my mental health? Is it worth it to me? So I decide that I'm going to take this risk of quitting. I'm going to give my 2 weeks notice and hopefully that's going to give me some time. That's going to give me at least another paycheck and then I'll figure out and look for another job. I'll look for like a part-time job at a tea shop or somewhere else until I get a design position. So I was telling myself, no, I'm just going to do something else because I can't do this anymore. So I walk in to quit this design position. And when I go in, only the husband is there. And honestly, he was the nicer one out of the husband-wife couple. The wife hated me. He also didn't like me, but it was just a weird situation. But I walk in and I give him my 2 weeks notice. I thank him profusely. I thank them for the opportunity. I want to mention this. I really thank them because I was grateful for understanding how the situation occurred, and I wanted to just be gracious. He then flips a switch and was like, just give me your key and leave. And I'm just like, oh shoot. I thought I would get another 2 weeks of pay. I thought I would have to be here for another 2 weeks, but now I don't, which is great, but I don't have the money. I don't have the money to know what to do in terms of the situation. So again, I was sinking in student loan debt. I just moved into an apartment with my ex at this time. I am freaking out. I am freaking out. And the thing that I did, I just said, okay. And then I gave him my key. I left and I didn't know where to go because I thought I was still gonna work that day. So I hop on the streetcar and I head to my old university at this time. And the only person there is one of my old professors. And I was like, I just need support. I just need to know what I'm doing wrong. Again, if you look at my birth chart, you can see it very, very clearly in my birth chart that I am not meant for a 9-to-5 job. I cannot handle it. I get tossed into some very manipulative situations. I have had some really, really great bosses. I want to preface that. I have had some really great design positions, yet it wasn't aligned for me. Yet I go back to my old design university and I tell him what just happened. I told him, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I thought my work was good, and then I ended up in this position, and I can't believe how bad it was. I also want to mention that the husband and wife couple are now divorced. That studio no longer exists. Karma is real. Please remember that. Karma is real. And I want to say that I was just so happy to share this with someone who understood design, who really inspired me. He was a professor, he's still a professor that really, really inspires me in my work. And he then went through a list of positions that I could apply for. And it was so helpful. It was so helpful. He first was like, you should apply for this full-time position somewhere else. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I cannot apply to another full-time position. I just got PTSD from this design studio. And I cannot do this. I cannot do another full-time design position. I've already had multiple horrible design internships. And also this was a junior design position, so I was getting paid the salary of a junior designer, but it wasn't much. It was like, I don't know, 15 bucks an hour. It was very low. And he then offered me a TA position, which is a teaching assistant position. It wasn't going to start till the next year, yet this was my saving grace. This was everything I wanted. It had the flexibility I wanted. It gave me the pay I wanted. I was getting paid more than I was per hour than that design studio. Even though it was less hours, in my head, I'm like, okay, this makes sense for me, and then I will just freelance design or do something else on the side. when you think about it, this is mind-blowing because I just jumped timelines. I quit this awful, terrible design studio position that gave me anxiety, that gave me this depression, and I chose a new path for myself. I chose to listen to my intuition, go to my old university, talk to my professor, and I got offered a TA position on the spot. Yes, I still had to apply for it. I still had to send in my resume, yes. However, this was a timeline jump, right? And I want you to think about this for your life because the only thing at this time, I wasn't meditating every day. I want to mention this. I do think it's important to meditate every day. I do think it's important to journal every day. I do think it's important to take care of your health and to do things that nourish your soul and show you what's possible in terms of things. For myself, I love using overnight affirmations or EFT tapping right now. However, at this time, I had none of those tools. Yet I still timeline jumped. And I want to state why that is. And for me, it was self-respect. I had to respect myself enough to leave a hard position. My Cancer moon, I cry over this because I could feel it, because so many people get stuck in hard, difficult positions. And yes, sometimes you are the victim. Yes, but you can't stay stuck in a victim mentality or you won't change your life. You have the power to change your life. And for me, going back to that timeline, I had to believe in myself enough. I had to love myself enough to ask for more, to ask for something different. I had to choose a different reality and tell myself it was possible, right? And sometimes people get so trapped in the fear of not having enough money. They get trapped in that fear of, okay, what if there's nothing better? They end up settling for less than what they want and less than what they deserve, right? So you have to have enough self-respect to timeline jump. You need to love yourself enough and know yourself enough to understand that you are worthy of more. That is the core key secret of timeline jumping. Because did I have a plan? No. Did I have lots of debt? Yes. Was it very, very risky? 100%. Did I know my professor was going to offer me that job that day? No. Did I even know he was going to be at the university? No. Did I even know what the universe's plan was for me? I had no idea. I had to trust the universe in this situation. So I want this to inspire you to really think about your life and who you want to be and what you want from your life. Where are you keeping yourself stuck based on your fear? I also want to mention that I made that decision to look for something else, to go back to my old university, because I was trying to make decisions of what my future self would do. At that time, when I was stuck in that design studio, I felt like, okay, this is a dead end for me, right? And I had to really remind myself that I have to make decisions that's best for my health, my mental health, but also for my future, right? So people might think that was really bad for my future if you think about it, if they didn't know about the professor offering me that position. Yet for me, it was understanding that I knew myself enough to know that I could not deal with it anymore. I had to respect myself enough to leave, and I knew I had to change things for myself. So I really hope this story inspired you to take action for your life, to do something and take that leap of faith in your life. I know when I have a client that comes to me where they're changing careers, and specifically, I've had like so many past clients who either wanted to launch their astrology practice and they now have launched it after our reading together, because we go through why it's so brave of them to launch it, how it could help so many people, what in their chart really signifies their strengths and their amazing qualities, so that they can focus on those, right? How is it written in their chart as part of their destiny? And they end up launching their astrology practice and getting more clients right afterwards, right? And then I think of, there was a previous client I've had who was in a very corporate setting, and she hated that position. She wanted to switch positions, and we had this conversation with her birth chart. We looked at what was the key missing piece for her to make that change. What limiting beliefs is she telling herself, especially in her birth chart? Because you can see this if you look at your Mercury sign, if you look at what your 12th house rules, because your 12th house is a hidden house in our charts, and it is the cycles you are breaking. It is the generational cycles you're breaking. That's especially true with the South Node as well. Yet the 12th house, if you have any planets there, even if you don't, it can give you a lot of information of what you are letting go of this lifetime. So for her, we went through her chart, and she just had to understand herself enough and understand how it could actually be so beneficial for her to change her career. And I would say after our session, she did it. She had the courage and bravery because she understood herself in such a deeper way. She learned how to love herself in a deeper way, because self-awareness leads to more love for yourself. Self-awareness is a key to success, because that's going to help you so much in moving forward. So I really, really hope it helped in terms of learning this story, in terms of understanding yourself in a deeper way, and also if it inspired you at all in terms of understanding what you're looking at in your birth chart for these changes. I am offering my mini 30-minute sessions in terms of breakthrough birth chart readings. Again, I'm bringing them back for a limited time. This is something that people have requested. I won't have these for most of the year, so this is the perfect time to book a session if you've wanted a private reading with me to go through your chart, to understand your challenges, to understand why you get stuck in difficult career settings. For me, myself, it was Saturn opposing my Chiron in my birth chart, in my career sector in the 10th house, and my 4th house of home. This was a very difficult aspect for me, yet it was so validating to see in my birth chart, because I'm like, I'm not crazy. This is real. This is something I needed to learn about myself, to move on, to have more peace about a past situation. So if this is something you want for yourself, or you just want my perspective on your birth chart, now is the perfect time to book for April. I just have a few spots for April. I'll leave a link to that down below. I'm super excited to read some birth charts in April. People have already been booking, and I'm honestly so excited to see how they change their life. I have so many amazing client stories like this. So if you're not following me on Substack as well, go follow me on Substack, because you get some special promo codes if you do want a reading from me. And thank you so much for listening, friend. I am gonna dive into your tarot reading for this week. Okay, so the first card out is the Empress card. Okay, I see this card as really nourishing your body, but also feeling more confident within yourself, feeling more beautiful and attractive this week. Also, I am hearing the message that if you are looking to get pregnant, or you've been trying to get pregnant, this is a week where you could potentially hear about that. Please DM me on Instagram if that does happen for you. It's really, really good to know. Or comment on YouTube, because I'd love to hear it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe, because it really, really does help me out. Yet, I see this as having some conversations with people about you embracing your power. But this isn't like a very in-your-face power. This is a very subtle power. There's this power in silence. There's this power in self-respect. So I feel like this card really, really reflects that with the Empress card. It is a spiritual card of being connected to the universe and trusting the process. Now, another card for this week is the Four of Pentacles reverse. So maybe in the past few weeks, especially with the Venus retrograde, I will say you felt a bit more afraid of your finances, or you felt as though you had to protect yourself. You weren't feeling as loved as you wanted to feel. You felt like you had to close yourself off or guard yourself. This is a week where you're letting that go. You're letting this go, and this is going to be so good for you, right? Because you can't receive abundance. You can't receive this love. You can't receive if you are afraid of giving, if you're afraid of spending money. You know, I think this is a really powerful message, but if you're afraid of spending money, you're not circulating that wealth, right? Because then you're just hoarding money. So I'm hearing this message that circulation is needed, and that's going to be more so in this abundance frequency, especially talking about my story too, because I could have stayed in a scarcity mindset during that time at the beginning of my career because I had no money. Like, I was very scared, right? I could have stayed in a scarcity mindset and told myself I had to make the money, right? But then I was trapping myself. Yet stepping into an abundance mindset was telling myself there are more opportunities to make money. I have more opportunities for me, and I am going to believe in myself enough to take that risk and take that chance. So I really see this card as you this week, letting go of that scarcity mentality, investing in yourself, investing in the next steps for your dream, because that's going to give you accountability. That's going to give you this push to take action. So I love this card. Now, the next card out is the Six of Wands reverse. So you could be feeling a bit demotivated. Maybe you had a big milestone, but someone's not celebrating you, or you feel like you didn't accomplish what you wanted to accomplish, and it's making you feel a little bit let down, or just more unworthy, or just more disappointed in terms of the path forward. I want you to remind yourself that it's important to celebrate every small win. It's important for you to celebrate even the smallest of wins. May that be just a new lead for your business. May that be a new Instagram subscriber. May this be at your job where another coworker recognizes the work you're doing. May this be you in a place where you just tried out hot yoga for the week. You tried something new. Celebrate every small win. That's going to help so much in terms of that motivation and uplifting energy. Remind yourself of this. Our challenge this week is the Page of Wands. So you could feel like either someone's being a bit immature with you, or it feels as though someone's not at the same level as you are currently. May this be through dating, or may this be even at work. You're just feeling a bit more as though there's so much in front of you and you could be a bit overwhelmed. You're feeling like you're not at the place you want to be, or you could just feel like someone else is being a bit immature at this time. So that is a challenge for this week. However, to overcome this challenge, we got the Four of Wands. So with the Four of Wands, really focus on the future you want to create for yourself. Focus on what is working for you. Focus on, okay, what does my dream future look like? How can I really see this in a new perspective? Can I really tap into that it doesn't have to be exactly what I envisioned, yet who do I want to surround myself with? Which people do I want to celebrate with? That's going to be really, really important for this week. So really rethink your future in the best possible way of dreaming bigger, but also what conversations can you have with the relationships in your life about your future? Maybe this is goal setting. Maybe this is just envisioning what's possible for you with someone you love. So I love this. Your oracle cards are, I'm connected to the earth. If you can go out into nature this week, that's going to feel so grounding for you. Take that time for yourself. We also got plant a seed and wait. So powerful for this week. Just know that you are setting the groundwork right now. It's all going to pay off. The next card out is Love Your Dark Side Too. So I love this. Embrace your shadow self. Make sure you're loving all parts of yourself, no matter what they look like. Remind yourself that you're worthy of love, that it's okay. No one is perfect, right? We all make mistakes. No one is perfect. So love your flaws, embrace them, or even just accept them, right? And show yourself some compassion and grace. So I really hope this helped, friend. I really hope it helped. If you'd like a private reading with me, you can check out the link for that down below. I'm excited to read some birth charts in April. And if you'd like to join the Moon Sign Creative community for our Eclipse Revelations event and time travel with us, I'm super, super excited for that. I'll leave a link to that down below. Even if you can't make it live, replays are available. It's going to be so much fun. And thank you so much for watching, friend. Just remember, the universe has your back, and with peace and love, take care.